Hi, Arlene. Nice to see you. Thanks, Dylan, for joining. Hello, Trupti. Thanks for joining. Okay, that's great. Hi, Komal. Okay, so we'll just wait a few minutes while we have some people joining in. And I'd love to hear from you all. So take your time and put in some few questions, whatever you all feel like about interviews. Hi, Manoj. Thanks for joining in. It's really nice to see you. Hi. Hi, Komal. So far, so good. I think just to start, today's session is going to be about just the kind of questions that people face during interviews. And in this situation, the current situation, being the way it is, it's just a little bit of time that people can spend reflecting maybe on their careers. A lot of people are right now at home with an unexpected, very very unexpected situation of sitting for a long time lockdown in the home and working from home. At least for me, in my last 25 years of my career, I've never been at home for such a long time, and it is very difficult. It's very unusual, and I do not know whether one can really get used to the missing the infrastructure of the office situation. But saying that, we still, I'm surprised, and it's good to note that productivity has really increased. Most people have managed quite well to work from home, and they're doing so quite efficiently. So they have really managed to cope, and it's going well. So I would love to hear from you in return. But being the format the way it is, so it looks like I'll be doing most of the talking. So yes, we are all safe at home, and thankfully, it's going well. Okay, I have a question from Manoj. Okay, is AI taking over the traditional jobs, especially after this pandemic when all humans are unable to work on the ground? Okay, okay. So I think AI is become the backbone of today, and without artificial intelligence, the way it is right now, we couldn't even survive. Because at least because of the information that we are getting, I'm giving the simple answer that everybody knows. If we didn't have the information, we wouldn't be able to know this disease was so rampant. But I think that AI should take away the traditional jobs, okay? Jobs that are very clerical, which are very, for example, I'm talking about automation. A lot of the work that we are doing, a lot of it is automated, a lot of it needs to be automated. So I do believe that with artificial intelligence, we need to have a lot of the work that can be clerical work, which is which is non creative perhaps, to be given away and let go to the automation devices that are there. So I think people are the biggest challenge has been for people to get in this world of technology and get used to it. For me as well, it has been challenging, constantly being on calls. The kind of technology that I am using today, I have been using for the last 10 years, but in the last 2 3 months, in the terms of the various kinds of formats that we have, live calls, screenings, webinars, seminars, virtual environments, it's really scaled up. So I think it's the way to go forward, as long as we don't lose our our abilities and our innate human qualities that we have. We have a question from Komel. How do you build your resume in this quarantine? What skills you think will be most in demand? Okay, now this is a very good question. Okay, first thing is, like we also discussed in our previous session, our previous webinar, this is the time wherein you will not get a better time than this to sit back, take your computer, at a quiet moment, and start looking at your resume all over again. And what's important is that you need to, like we also mentioned in our earlier in a webinar, that it's very important that your resume is not only on paper. Your resume should be on the job portals. So you should have a very good looking, and I mean good looking in the sense of it should be smart, it should be very crisp, and it should be very specific, the skills that you have, and they should be all listed online, because today is the world, everybody is looking for people and doing a complete biography check, a professional qualifications check online. And that is the way for the future. We are not going to go back to the paper resume. Paper resume is just something that you need to carry with you for your interview, okay, but it's really not the future. Everything has to be online. The skills that are required today, okay, one of the most important skills that we will require, not only to build our resume, but the skills that we need to put into our resume is management skills. Each and every one of us, whichever profession you may be working in, you need to be able to communicate, and you need to be able to communicate efficiently. Because whichever industry you're working with, unless you're completely working with machines and you are not interacting with people, which is a very sad state of affairs, you will need to be very good in your communication skills, and that is something that will not change. So your resume needs to mention, because you should have worked on it, of course. So you need to have your soft skills in order. You need to have management skills. You need to have marketing skills. You need to be able to talk, and you need to be able to show what you've already learned over a long period of time. So, and the other skills that you will also need additionally, okay, which is like, let's look at a person who's in, like a person who is a working in technology. Of course, you need to know all the tools of today. If you're working on a laptop, you need to know all the technology that goes with it, which is basically, you need to know all the webinar tools, you need to know all the professional sites, you need to know so much. Okay. So your multimedia skills need to be kind of, leveled up, and that's important. That's really important. I don't know what else I'm missing at this point, but I think we'll go on. Thanks, Lloyd, for joining. Okay, so I'm working from home. So as you can see, there's a lot of noise in the background, but I'm sure you'll forgive me for that. Looking for some more questions. And one more thing is, a resume is something that, it gets you through the door. It gets you to the door, and from the door into the panel of the people that you're meeting in a room, it's all about your communication skills that really matters. So you could be the best in your industry, Unless you can prove it without speaking, then that's fine. But otherwise, you need to be able to communicate with your body language, with your words, that you are what you are. So I can't stress more on communication skills. Yeah. Aline, do you have any question for me? Okay, let me scroll. Nutan Jadhav is asking me a very good question. Is it necessary to add a photograph on a resume? It is very, very important. It is the one of the most important criteria for a resume today, because different reasons, and I'll give you the reasons for that. A picture of a person is has immediate recall value for most people as compared to just a name. In recruitment, what happens? We see a lot of resumes for a job on a single day. So if we have one profile, we see at least 100, resumes or profiles for it. And very often it becomes very difficult for us to remember who we met. And a picture is a very clear and quick reference value. Okay, so it's very important to have a picture. Secondly, a good picture. When I say a picture which is very clear, lack of shadows, a professional picture does give an impression of you. It gives, and if you're looking well groomed, you're neat and tidy, it sends across a message, and the recipient, when he looks at your picture, gets that positive message of you. If you have taken a nice picture of yourself, smiling nicely, it makes a difference, it makes an impact. So I would say that, uh, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is the importance of having a photograph on your resume. Going to the next question, Manoj asked me, is the process of teaching going through an irreversible change? Okay, now the process of teaching, unfortunately, in a lot of countries and not only ours, is going through a change, but a lot of it is, I'm not really sure whether it's in the right direction. Some things are in the right direction, but some things are just not taught. Okay, we do have a lot of different teaching mediums from the time that I went to school, but one of the most important stresses in terms of education is, that they are not teaching people, children, social skills. Even in management today, they teach you to make presentations, they teach you all that, which is good, but they don't teach you social skills of conflict management. They don't teach you how to make a sales pitch. There's no real actual training for those things. There is no focused training for this. They don't teach you the value or the importance of reading. Reading is the best gift you can give a child. And these things, there is so much of audio visual. Today I was having a conversation with a doctor, and he says that right now at this very moment, you will check your phone, you will have received somewhere or the other some offer for children to do this online course and to follow this online teaching, and all the books are in soft copy, and download all the books from here. The point is, we are pushing our children in the direction of an audio visual world, which is not recommended, because it is going to cause damage to your cognition. And you need to get back to reading paper, you need to get back to the hard copy book, and this is hurting. So the process of teaching is going through an irreversible change, and it's not a very good thing, my personal opinion. You also mentioned corollary is the process of training. It is. by corollary, what Manoj is saying is that, do you have like a parallel by showing, by example? It is existing, but that is mostly happening in apprenticeship jobs and stuff. It doesn't happen as much. It happens in surgery, it happens in the medical field, but it's not happening as much as it should. And actually, I do believe it should happen much more. Okay, now I have a question. How does one make an interviewer understand that you have understood what he or she said or is saying? Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, now when it comes to communication training, or whenever there is a meeting which is happening between many people, and this question is not only to an interviewer. Okay, what I tell people is, when you get a question from an interviewer and you're not really sure what they've asked you, okay, it is absolutely fine that you ask them to repeat their question, or tell them, I do not understand. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, secondly, what you normally do is you summarize, and that's very important. It's very important that you summarize what the person has asked you, or what the person is saying, because then it becomes very clear. So if somebody tells you, I want you to blah blah blah, you tell them, let me just summarize this. You just mentioned that you want me to do this in this way. Am I correct? So I'll just repeat Lloyd's question. Okay, how does one make an interviewer understand that you have understood? So what you do is, you have to summarize, okay, and ask them, am I clear? Am I clear to you? Because what happens, and for me at least, the general panel of interviews, we have, we generally have a foreigner on board, and communicating with a foreigner, with a European, for Indians is a little tricky, because they don't always understand the accent or the words that are being used. So always summarize. That's solution. I hope, Lloyd, I answered your question. um, Going on to the next question: how can I research my potential employer for an interview? Okay, very good question. Again, what I tell people is that if you really want a job, if you really want to get into that company, okay, it is like researching a potential marriage proposal. Okay, and if that is the case, you need to hunt and do a deep search and find out. And how do you find out? Okay, what do you do? Firstly is check whether that company is online. Check the website of the company. It's all there. It should be all there. If it is a company listed, it's a listed company, which means that it talks of a sale. You need to go online, check the way the company is performing, check the stocks of the company, check the BSE index, check the NSE index. It will tell you more information. Public listed companies have all their information available for the public online. Okay, and you will get so much information about the company. You will get to know the P&L, the balance sheet. These are published documents, and you should read this, because I'll say it in Indian words. It's like reading the Janam Kundali of a person. So you need to read that document. अगर किसी कंपनी के साथ आपको रिश्ता बनाना है, शादी करना है, तो check the background. Go for it as if you're going to own the company, and only then you'll be able to make an informed decision, because it's a dual process. It's not a one side selection. It has to be a dual process. Okay, I'll move to the next question. Komel, I do hope I'm answering your question correctly. If you all do not agree, if you all have further questions, I'm happy to, respond. I have a question from Nutan. How to answer an interviewer if he or she asks you how you balance your work life and family as a female employee? Wow, that's a lovely, lovely question, Nutan. That's a very, very good question. I'd love to answer this. Okay, and I'm gonna say this and I'll repeat myself. Okay, there is no such thing as a work life balance. Okay, there is no such thing as a work life balance. Every woman and even men today, they have to juggle. You have to constantly juggle between your home life and your work life. So when they do ask you, how do you balance? Tell them the facts of your story, that like every other woman, you are having to manage a home and an employer, and you're doing it because it's something you want to do. And if you want to do it, you work at doing it. So just tell them that. But just remember also that, you look at any of the top people in the world, whether they're presidents of companies. If you look at the prime ministers or presidents of nations even, they they have infrastructure, they have people in place who take care of their requirements. Okay, for example, you have Sandy Goldberg, who is the top employer in Facebook. And she's got people who work for her. You have a lot of COOs and CFOs who are women on top, who have set of women who are working with them and handling their family, their children, and getting their kids to do things. So research about these kind of women, okay, and you'll be able to answer better. But just remember that it is always going to be difficult. It's never going to be perfect. And it's all about your desire to make it happen. Okay. And there is no such discrimination that a man and a woman can't, balance out. Each of them has their role to play, and each of them have to really deliver in both directions, at home and at work. I'll go to the next question. I have a question from Kishori. How our LinkedIn profile matters in terms of corporate jobs? Okay, today LinkedIn is the only, okay, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, and I think I'm updated on this, it is the only really respected and clean interface, looking solely on careers, especially in the corporate domain. I think slowly, you also have a lot of medical practitioners who are coming into the world of LinkedIn, because they are also realizing that they need to have some kind of a face that they have to show to the world. So you have a lot of this happening, that you have LinkedIn, which is a very focused, a very professional way that you can showcase your job, yourself there. And if you're not on LinkedIn, then I would suggest, if you're serious about your corporate career, you need to get onto it. It's free, of course, and people will look for you on LinkedIn. That's a fact. If you go to any normal corporate, HR, they will research you thoroughly on LinkedIn and other places. Okay, so that's that question. I have a question from Siddesh. How to answer tricky questions such as, what are your weaknesses? Okay. Uh, when the HR ask you for questions about your weaknesses, they are not trying to trip you. They are not trying to make you look lesser than somebody else. Okay. What they are trying to do is, they are trying to understand you as a human being. They are trying to understand you as a person, whether you are aware of yourself or not. Okay. And what happens is that they try to understand you as a whole. Now, when they ask you the question, very often, sometimes people ask, what are your weaknesses? Generally, I don't ask that question. What I normally ask in lieu of that is, I ask, what are your areas of improvement? Okay. And that really helps, because it's very important for us to know, for anybody for that matter, to know the areas which are lacking, because they want to know if you are aware of yourself in the first place. And only if you are aware of your weaknesses can you take the step of changing that, of making yourself better. So it's a deep psychological question. Okay. So if they ask you for your weaknesses, talk about yourself. For example, you can say that, my weakness is sometimes, I get very upset with people who ask silly questions. And then you can go on to say that I'm working on it. I understand that I'm a little bit impatient in that area, but I'm really working on it hard, and I'm trying to, work with my friends and deal on this situation where I do not get irritated or impatient with people and try to treat people equally. So please answer these questions and look for the opportunity to, showcase yourself as a human being. Okay, I have a question from Siddesh is how have your strengths helped you in the past? Okay, that's also very important. Now, when they ask you for your strengths, always remember that it's not always a question which has got to do with your professional makeup or your professional aspect of who you are. It's got to do with, your personal failures, your personal challenges in life, and you can talk about it. Okay, and that's important. So if you have gone through some kind of a failure, okay, has that strengthened you? Have you learned from it? And what lessons have you learned from it? And what are you doing about that? So, like for example, like I think Siddesh wants a specific example. How have your strengths helped you? So I would say for myself, if somebody asked me that, that I may not know everything. I do not know a lot of things, but I have a particular quality is that if I don't know, I find out. And if there is a place where this information is available, you can be sure I will get to it and I will find out and I will come back to you with the answer. Okay? So it could be a small strength, it could be a big strength, but you can talk about it. Okay, the next question is Siddesh asks is how to drive the interview in the right direction. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Now, the right direction would be that they will say yes to you and they'll hand you the job. Now, this is a question that seems a bit it's amusing for me. See, you want to drive the interview in the direction that it works for you, then you really need to be honest to yourself, okay, firstly. And when you are in that interview, you need to talk about the real you, okay? It could be the professional you and the personal you, but it's very important that if you are being honest, if you are being real and true to yourself and genuine in your answers, okay? I'm not saying you go there and you cry that, oh, my father is ill, I have no money, I'm desperate, I'm this. No, I'm saying be a strong human being with all the challenges that you have. Be there, be strong, and be truthful. And if you're true to yourself, it will come across in the interview. People are looking at you, they're looking at the way you're speaking, your eye contact, the way you're prepared for the interview, the answers that you give. Very important is to listen to the questions that are being asked. Very often what people do is they come for interviews and later on they ask me, Madam, how did I do? And I said, you came for this interview, you had in your mind what you wanted to say, but you didn't listen to what they were asking you. Because every question they asked you, you went in a different direction. So if you really want to drive the interview, listen to the questions that are being asked. Okay? Answer those questions to the point, if you can, in point format. And then when you have answered the question, ask them, have I answered your question to your satisfaction? And that's the way to drive the interview in the right direction. Okay, now next question from Manoj. During online interview communication, how does one take time to think before answering? Because just as in a telephonic conversation, there can't be silence. Similarly, in online exchange, a silence is very awkward. Okay, now what happens when we are communicating? Right, even right now, I'm talking to you and I'm talking extempo. Very important when you are speaking and when you are communicating is to be aware. First thing is to be aware that we think and we need to open our lips and say the words. Now, when we realize that we are making these particular kinds of sounds like h, you know, okay, these kind of sounds, and if we are not able to be smooth in our communication, breathe, take your time. It is okay to have pauses. There can be silence, but if I keep saying, like for example, I say, I went, and then forever, that sounds bad. So, what you must do is take your time, breathe. There can be a silence. It's all right to have silences, but if you're thinking, you can even tell them, look, I need a moment to think. Or what you can do is if you have an sound coming, and if you know that you're the kind of person who has this coming, change that sound to an hmm or a or an It sounds better. Okay, you will even see certain interviews of people, and when they have been conditioned to program themselves, this sound, these awkward noises, they're eliminated. I hope I answered your question, Manoj. It's a very good question. But like I said, there can be silence. There shouldn't be a very long silences, but silence is allowed. Okay, I go on to the next question. How can we convince one moment. I have a question. I'm not really sure this. How can we convince international schools started online classrooms for three students? Oh wow. Okay, I think what you're trying to say is that should we put children who are in nursery schools into online classrooms? Okay, and my answer to you is no. That's not a very good idea at all. I am a psychotherapist and a psychologist, and I tell very clearly, do not do this to your little children. They are very tiny, up to the age of 6 years. Let them be free. Let them do their painting and drawing and dancing and everything. Keep them away from the screen as much as you can. In our country, it's really sad that we are putting our kids to school when they're hardly 3, 4. We have got preschool and we've got nursery and KG. If you step out of our country, you will see that in other countries, children are going to school only after they are 6 or 7 years of age. So please be kind to your children. Their brains are developing. They need to enjoy themselves. And I wouldn't recommend anybody sending little small ones into very fancy international schools for education which they can be got from any little preschool or social environment. Okay, so I'll go on to the next question. Is it okay to connect to HR via phone for a follow up if we have submitted a CV for a job that we aspire to join? Right, absolutely. You are absolutely have the right, and you should follow up with the HR because it's important. And I'll tell you of a scenario wherein there was a profile that we had, and we had a lot of resumes for that profile, and we had one lady who kept calling up and she kept calling up because we were not able to fast track the processes at our side, and she was so committed and so interested about the job profile that just by her absolute strength of will, that she was like, I'm really interested, I want to know, she kept following up. And sometimes that really works because it shows that you are serious about it. And if you have taken the time to submit your profile for a job, you have the right to ask them, uh, you know, uh, what happened to your profile. You absolutely have the right to ask them how your interview went. Okay. And as a rule, the HR should also inform you if your interview did not go well. So always ask them. You can always, at the end of your interview, tell the HR, is it okay that even if I'm not selected, I would love to have a feedback, because that would help me better myself. So always look for feedback. Whatever activity you do when submitting your CV, it's important that this action that you've taken, there is some learning from it. So please absolutely follow up and keep pushing for this kind of thing. It's important. Okay, I have a next question. Any website or data source can you suggest where we can find a ready Q&A reckoner list of interview questions? Okay, if you just search online, you do a control F and you search Q&A interview, there is so much of information available. There is loads and loads of information available. If you go to Step Up Consultants, also we are constantly on a daily basis giving you tips, and we're giving you directions for you which are in little digestible bits. So we're not giving you a lot of information in one go. We put little stuff for you every single day. We have something going there. If you follow us, I'm sure you will slowly but surely be able to get better at this. Okay. Of course, you are more than welcome. Look for information online. You will get a lot of information. I can't recommend a single site because depending upon the industry and field and the kind of level that people are looking out, so it differs. So I can't really recommend, but I definitely can recommend the FB page of Step Up because we are constantly feeding out information, and like I said, it's small and it's digestible. um okay. In terms of also Q&A questions, there are certain general Q&A questions which we also did in our mock session, and we are going to be doing a mock session coming up also on the 1st of May in the evening. And in this mock session we are going to do Q&A sessions. We are going to do an interview live. We'll be setting up the participants who are in the session to be set up as interviewers, and we'll have other people as interviewees. So we are going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be a safe environment. Please do register if you wish to, because we are going to do a general interview questions, and we are going to do it in a fun environment. We are going to be serious with the questions, but we are going to facilitate and teach you what is the right answer that you can give. So if you really are interested, do be in touch with us and register for our next webinar. Okay, now what are the new webinars on Q&A coming up with, if any? That's what Komel is asking. And yes, like I said, we have one coming on the 1st of May. We had one just a week back as well, and we will be having specific sessions looking at freshers and looking at people with more than 5 years of experience. So if you're interested, follow us on our page, ping us, or connect with us, and we will keep you informed. Okay, so I'll go to the next question. Okay, there's a question from Tarun, and he asks me, okay, he says, there is a scenario where you didn't get a call from HR after technical interviews. Even the manager told you HR will speak to you for further process. Well, like I said before, Tarun, it is your responsibility to follow up. Okay, do not wait for them to get back to you. If they have forgotten or if they are too busy, you are more than welcome, and you should, I highly recommend it, you should call them up. You should follow up with them. If you do not get a connect with the correct HR person, connect with the manager that spoke to you. Okay, it is important for your self respect and your dignity that you have an answer, because you have invested your time and efforts and energies into going in for this entire process, and the trauma of an interview. Interviews are traumatic, so you completely should follow up with them. Okay, so as of now, I think I have got all the questions I've answered. Any more questions coming? Thank you, Rakshit, for that. And just to tell you a bit more about what we are doing, okay, I am working with a multinational company. I have a few of my colleagues out here as well, and I am in the role of a finance analyst. I'm professionally qualified in IT, in HR, as a psychologist, and I'm also a language expert. And I'm moonlighting to share whatever I have learned over the years with Step Up Consultants and with another company called Alu Connect. So I'm just doing this to share whatever that I have learned, over the years with people who maybe can make use of this opportunity. So we would love to be connected because this is something that I'm doing to give back, to share my knowledge. And, I remember the mistakes that I had made as a young starting out in my career many, many years ago. And I think today I would love to share my learnings with other people. Can I share any other insight into interview skills? Okay. Additionally, what there's a lot more that can be said. Okay, there's a lot more that really can be said because interview is just one little module that many of us have to go through in a normal career, unless of course you're an entrepreneur and you're on the other side of the table. Then it's also important to know how to conduct an interview. The standard questions that I ask people, okay, I'll share with you as a recruiter or as a person who is on the main panel. I ask them questions about their background. So be ready to share information about who you are during an interview. So I will always ask the person, the candidate, tell me a bit about yourself. I generally, the strategy for an interview would be is make the person comfortable. Okay, remember that when you're going for an interview, it's not about somebody selecting you. It's a two-way process. You are going to dialogue with people. You are going to meet somebody for the first time in your life, and you might never see those people again. That doesn't mean to say that you cannot learn from that experience or you cannot enjoy that experience. So when you go for an interview, go, that you are going to showcase yourself, prepare for it thoroughly, read about the company, do your homework. Okay, go as if you're going to get married to somebody. So you want to know everything and you should find out everything about that company, especially where it is, the company position, its competitors, what are the market leaders, what is the industry, everything that you can find out about it. And today it's very easy. When they ask you, generally the HR will open with a question and say, tell me a bit about yourself, which is not in your resume. And even if you have practiced your resume before, it's important that you are able to answer that. Now, what skills are required to answer that question? Okay. Firstly, you should have practiced. Like, for example, if you ask me, tell me a bit about yourself, which is not in your resume. And I would say that I'm an individual, I work hard, and through my life, I've learned a lot from different areas of work, and I look forward to challenges. I love to sing, I love to read, and I'm constantly on the learning curve. I'm constantly learning. So that is a few words about yourself. When you speak about yourself, okay, it shouldn't be two, three paragraphs. It should be a few sentences. At the same time, what they are looking for is how you're speaking, what is your content, what is your language, what is your comprehension, how is your delivery, how is your eye contact. So, people who are in HR and who are really experienced at their job, within the first few seconds, they can very, very quickly gauge how you are as a person. And very importantly, it's not only your technical skills that matter. Okay, you could be the best in your field technically, but if you don't come across as a very nice individual, as a person who is very a team player, who speaks nicely, then then it's it becomes difficult for them to select. Okay, I have a question. Should we make more than one resume? Yes. Okay. So, yes, depending upon what kind of field you are in, if you are multi-talented, if you are multifunctional, um, you need to showcase yourself differently. So if I have to put in my resume for, let's assume, as a trainer for a language class, okay, then I will mention my skill set, that I have degrees in literature and this is my qualification in literature. The other aspects of my qualifications I need not showcase, because as you grow older you will realize that a lot of the stuff that you are doing may not be relevant one to the other. So you should be able to have a flexible resume. Maybe you need to have more than one resume depending on where you are applying and for what kind of a job. Always read the job description before you apply, because you need to perhaps tweak your resume and see very clearly if your resume is matching with the job description. Or you should not be wasting your time if you look at a JD and it's really nothing to do with your skills. So it's important to align your JD with a JD with your resume. Okay, okay. So it's almost 5:46 right now, and we did promise a 1 hour session. We'd love to have some more questions if you all have any. Okay, so like I said, uh, we are doing these activities, we are having a lot of seminars happening, we are also having specific parenting workshops. So I had a question regarding nursery schools. So if you are looking particularly at parenting workshops, with Alu Connect we have a parenting workshop which is coming in the next few days. Okay, and I will be sending information as that on that as well. So you can follow me on FB or Insta, or you can follow even Step Up Consultants. And a parenting consultant workshop that we are going to be organizing, I have a very good colleague of mine, Dr. Derek Angels, who is an expert in education. He has been working closely with the government of India to prepare the syllabus and to change the syllabus in terms of the education that we have in India. So he'll give you a very close understanding of education vis-a-vis children. So look forward, we're looking forward to that session as well. I have another question here. If you are beginners for any foreign language, should we add that? Yes, yes. That's a very good question, Nutan. If you are multilingual, okay, if you are multilingual, you should mention it in your resume. Or most of us in India are trilingual. Most of us are easily trilingual, so do mention it in your resume. What people do now, they use visual indicators. Okay, so you can use little circles or filled up dots to indicate that very nicely without having too much of text. So you can do that. But yes, do indicate language, because when a person is multilingual, it is a very clear reflection that their cognition is much better. Okay, especially for jobs where you are having to exhibit your skills to a foreign company or to foreign nationals. It is an asset to mention your resume that you are multilingual. Okay, and if you're, like I just mentioned, when you have those indicators, you can mention your skill in that language, how good you are. So you could mention adequate, beginner, or learner, and that's fine. That's fine. So you get those indicators. Very very nice templates are available online. If you look at our Step Up page, we have also shared this particular answers and the questions with some samples. You can have a look at it, and you can also ask us for more details. I have a question from Lloyd. When is the right time to apply for a new job to further grow in one's career? Okay, this is a tough question, but let me give you a bit of a background over here. Now, how do careers move? Careers, ideally, the way careers normally should move, and what we understand in the corporate world is in your early 20s, you start actually to learn. You are finding yourself, you're finding your career, so to speak. And the main thing that you're doing, 90% of what you're doing is you're learning. And luckily, if you're lucky, you get paid for learning. Okay. In other careers, such as medicine, etc., you have to slog 90% and you're like just learning, learning, learning. You don't even get any earning or anything else. So, just looking at a corporate profile, general corporate jobs, okay, I would say that in your early 20s, from 20 to 25, you should focus on learning. Forget about what you're getting paid. Look at what opportunities you are getting to learn. That should be your focus. That's the first thing. So you are also allowed, it's okay that you are switching jobs every 1 year or 2 years because you are learning, and that's one way, that's one of the biggest ways that you can really learn. Once you are in your 30s, you should have, ideally, okay, I know it doesn't really happen, you should have found where you belong. And if that is the case, generally, then you're focused on enhancing that area of work and getting more and more, what do I say, very focused, a very niche profile for yourself. You're drawing up a very niche expertise, and you are growing with that. Okay, so in your 30s, ideally, if you're really focused in your career and you found what you love doing, okay, your learning reduces and your hard work goes up. So ideally, people in the 30s should be focused very much on sticking to a job for at least 5 years, so they achieve a mastery in that particular area. Okay, and in your 40s, you should have been there and become an expert. So if you're looking to change jobs, in your 20s is the time when you should start looking and changing profiles and changing industries, because that is the right time where you're finding yourself. As you go further along in your career, it gets more difficult. When is the right time to apply for a new job? The right time is something that is very specific to an individual, and I cannot comment. But the moment you feel, and this is a very subjective opinion, the moment you feel that you cannot step into that office another day, the moment you feel that you cannot look at your manager another day, that's the time that you should start looking for another job. Because people do not change jobs, people change managers. And if your manager is giving you grief, no matter how great the job, and if you cannot address it, you cannot resolve it, then maybe you should start looking for a new one. Okay, but Lloyd, every career is different. You, as you keep growing, you keep learning. And in your 40s and 50s is when you start looking at giving back and switching to different kinds of roles, because you understand you've learned so much. Your communication skills, your marketing skills, your confidence levels, your general knowledge has increased so much that you can now go out and do other things which you never really thought of before, like teaching, like training. So I would suggest people who have a lot of experience in their roles already should offer themselves and give part of their time where they can teach the younger ones, the skills that they have learned the hard way. I hope I answered your question, Lloyd. I will go to the next question. From the point of view of an interview or employer, if you can as well. TIA. Thanks in advance, I think. Um, okay, I didn't really understand that question, so you will have to repeat it. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. So I think we're just having a few more minutes. If there's any more questions, I would be happy to address. And just one more thing as well, which I would like to share with when you are finishing your interview. Of course, this is a topic which is something that we need to dialogue with. I would love to have a chat with you all personally. So maybe I'll see you all in my next session where we would have another colleague of mine, and we will do a tandem fun at the same time serious session where you will really enjoy yourself and you will learn as well. So I would love to hear, because the more you practice this, the better you will get at it. And it's not only about interviews, it's about dialoguing with anybody on the planet. Okay, so okay. So I'm very, very happy to have been speaking with y'all. I apologize for the noise in the background, but I'm sure you'll all understand. Thank you for coming and being with us. Do appreciate this, and wish you all a very, very safe lockdown. And thank you so much, and we'll see you in our next sessions. So I will be saying bye, and thank you very much, and see you all. Thank you. Bye bye.